to me. Come talk to me.
Kyland Young, welcome to the reality of reality. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Kate. And this is the reality. We're here.
Well, we're here
In
in
reality.
real life. You know, fun fact, I was debating on if I was going to start with this, but I love telling stories like this because I've always been such a reality TV fan. I've met you before.
Okay.
You would not remember, but does that feel weird? Like people know you, but you don't know people?
Yeah, because you know how when you're someplace and someone runs into you and they're like, oh my gosh, hey, good to see you, and you don't know who they are?
Worst feeling
I
ever.
think that happens so often to where because some people are like, oh my gosh, they really identify themselves with what they say as like they know you from the show.
Right.
When some people are like, Kyland, it's so cool to see you.
And you're like, wheels are
like,
turning.
"Ooh,
Do I? Yeah.
do I know you in real life?" And then some are, gracious enough to be like, "Oh yeah, you don't know me," for a record, like right away. And then some are just let you sit there for a minute. And I know it's not on purpose, but it definitely is. And it's an interesting thing.
And this is exactly what I did when I interviewed your friend Courtney, our friend Courtney Revolution, where I was like, I've met you before. And he like freaked out. He's like, what? I don't remember. I'm like, you wouldn't remember. Like, I don't know you. I just was a fan of you. Here's when I met you.
Yes,
It was
that's the
so
scene.
long ago. Let's see if you can put yourself back in this setting. We were at Jax Taylor's bar, Jax's Studio
Yep.
City,
For the
for the
Villains?
House of Villains
Yep.
season 1. And I'm really good friends with Sydney Bucksbaum, who was an Entertainment Weekly reporter.
Yes.
And she had just interviewed you, and it was right when you got on the
recall.
challenge, I believe,
Yeah.
or around there.
Yes.
And she was like, you need to come meet Kylan. Like, he's going to be the face of the challenge. He's so good at the challenge. You know
Oh my
what, Sydney? You
goodness.
weren't wrong. She wasn't wrong. And we talked for a good bit. You were so kind. So it's good to actually like officially meet you now.
No, it is good. And see, you painted enough of a picture for me to pull back the memory and at least of the conversation and of the space.
Well, the purpose of this show is to talk about the reality of reality TV. And you are the most perfect guest I could ever have because you've been on not one, not two, but 3 major reality shows with Big Brother, The Challenge, The Amazing Race. Something in me tells me there will probably be 4, 5, and 6 other reality shows, hopefully.
We'll see.
But I want to start with where it all began, which was Big Brother. You were a part of one of the most iconic alliances of any reality show with the Cookout Alliance. You were part of such an iconic season. You finished in 4th place, I believe. Tell me about how Big Brother came to be. Did you apply? Did they sought you out?
No. So yeah, I funny enough, we were talking about reality television earlier, like how you got into it, because I didn't watch any reality television my whole life, pretty much. I didn't watch. It just was not my. I don't know, just what didn't appeal to me. And I think I kind of thought it was all very dramatic social stuff,
Which it is.
Yeah. Well, pretty much my best friend, who we had lived together for years, he grew up watching Big Brother, and he would try to get me to watch it. And we were living together at one point. This is right after I graduated college, and he would watch Big Brother with his family and talk about it. And I may have seen like a scene in passing, like walking through the living room or something. And then, or I say living room, walking through the studio apartment. So like we were
The room.
yeah,
Walking through the room.
And he'd be watching something, and it didn't register.
Right.
And then finally, after 7-8 years of being friends, I was like, all right, you know what? You watch all the movies I recommend, so I'll watch the show. What day does it come on? And he's like, 3 days a week. I was like, 3 days a week?
Yeah.
What do you mean? So anyways, fast forward, I watched the first episode with him, and I was like, yo, this is a game. Why didn't you tell me this is a game? I love games. And he's like, I did. And I was like, I don't think you did a good job explaining it, because I was hooked immediately. And this was season 20 with Casey and Tyler, as far as like the final 2. And I literally was like, okay, 3 times a week isn't enough. I was looking at the live feeds, but I was like, I want to learn more of this game. So then I started 19. I was like, let me look at 19. Paul walks in episode 1, and I'm like, well, this seems to be somebody. don't know who he is. Let me jump back to 16. So then I watch, 18. So then I watch 18. So I just start
You're
consuming
just watching
the show.
like in descending order, which is so
Pretty
funny.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I ended up watching about 4 other seasons before 20 finally ended. So I was in it. I was watching it all the time and just fell in love with the game. Applied that year. Did get a call, but then thought I made it a decent way, only to find out how long the process is and how I barely scratched the surface.
Oh, so like now that you know, because you've been through the process, you weren't even that far the first time.
No. I mean, like to get a call, yeah, is probably, some percentage that is decent because I think they said that's 30 to 40,000 applications a year, something like that.
Right.
So, but nowhere near as far as the process ends up being when you go all the way.
Right.
So then got dropped pretty early. And then the next year I applied, no call or anything, but that ended up being all-star season, so I didn't feel as bad. And then the third time is when I got on.
Wow, third time's the charm.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder if you did so well because the only reality TV knowledge you had was Big Brother.
Yeah, probably.
That's wild.
Oh yeah, and I was studying. I had notes written down from that very first week that I was watching.
Wow.
Like the very first week I was watching, I had a notebook with notes. I just was started studying the game.
When you started watching it, how quickly was it until you were like, I want to go on this show? Was it immediate?
I think pretty immediate. Somewhere in that first, because that first week I was taking notes. So
Right.
it was somewhere in that week I was like, oh, I want to play this.
Right.
Like for sure.
So you're a gamer at heart. You love games.
Yeah. I love games. And
See, that's what I do to try to get my friends that don't watch reality TV to watch The Traitors, because I'm always like, well, you love Werewolf, right? Like, have you ever played Werewolf? That's what I always say. I'm like, you love Werewolf. It's a giant game of Werewolf. If you just connect it to the game, sometimes it gets people and they got you with the game. I love that.
Games.
Did you walk away from your season of Big Brother feeling satisfied with the way that you played the game?
I mean,
as a fan,
mostly.
if you were
I'd say
watching
fulfilled.
yourself.
I think fulfilled
Okay.
for sure. I think, satisfied feels weird because I didn't win. So I think that when I think of satisfied, I think of having won. But I feel so fulfilled and so fortunate to not just have the experience of doing the show, but I think on the one hand, just on an individual level, to do well was, I watched the show, I examined it, I'm studying it, and I'm like, I think I could do good at this. I think I'd be good at this. And then I'm the first person on the block. I'm like, I'm terrible at this. This is way harder than I thought. And then we get a few weeks in, and it's like one thing to start. I'm second HOH, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty surreal. Like to watch a show and then to finally be head of household in Big Brother is a surreal experience, especially going from the block to that. And then all of a sudden, I start building these relationships, and we get the cookouts plan rolling. Things are working, and then I find myself in these moments, and so I feel really proud of myself as a gamer side, because I'm like, okay, I was able to make the moves I needed to make, both in competitions and strategy and all these things. Then I think, which is its own conversation, to be clear, because I feel like that's something I'm so far past it now, but when I look back, I'm like, man, I really wish I did do a deep dive with a Taryn or somebody who, does the deep dive on gameplay. Cause I'm like, oh, people don't know how much of the game was going on. So many different aspects. But then on the non-personal level, or I guess on the deeper level, on the group level, to be able to do what we did with the cookout, I think was just that's where I feel like the fulfillment. It is truly something I look back on where I'm like, wow, how insane to be a part of something like this. That is, and it's Black History Month right now, and that is, in its own very small way, a part of Black history, and
Oh, yeah.
to play that role is something I'm just forever grateful for.
Oh, I love that. And I did hear in an interview that you guys are still pretty tight as a
Yeah.
cast. And that's beautiful. I mean, I feel like so many times you're in these games, and we've seen so many different alliances on so many different shows, but for it to be able to last outside of the show, I think is really special. I wonder if that has to do with the fact that, Big Brother is a show like no other, where you are truly, it's just you and the people in your house with nothing else. It wasn't until I interviewed Taylor Hale that I realized how fucking long you guys are really in that house.
The days are so long. Like it's hard, I think, to really grasp, because when you take away stimulus, it's not just no phone or TV or internet. It's like no pen and paper and no books and no music and no sunlight 5 days a week. And so your perception of time gets off. And, there's a time I remember we were sitting, me and DX and I think someone else was there, and we were talking about, do you remember when that thing happened a couple of days ago? And we're like, yeah, that was crazy. And then we're like, that was this morning.
No.
And it's like, oh my gosh, it was this morning. And we're just like, yeah, that's how long it feels.
Right. I've heard this on other shows too, and I just don't quite understand why. I get no books, no newspapers, no phone, whatever. But why no pen and paper?
Because they don't want you to write down notes to pass to each other.
Duh.
Yeah. And
Duh.
I think that if you have pen and paper, you start journaling or something, and they're like, no, we want you to be talking.
Right.
Yeah.
It takes you away from the game.
Yeah.
So how long in between Big Brother, of a gap did you have between Big Brother and the Challenge USA? USA was your first one, correct?
Yes. So we finished Big Brother, when was that, September, I think?
Okay.
And then I think October was when we first got the call. October, November. It was pretty quick. It wasn't probably... Yeah, maybe towards the November end, because we started filming, I think we filmed right before Ride or Dies was filming.
Mm-hmm.
I think we either filmed right before them or right after them. So somewhere in that, like, more than likely November-ish is when we got the first call, and it was this spinoff. And you know what? That's why I remember. I know it was before December, because in December I went to the Celebrity Weekend event. In Orlando every year. There's a fundraiser out there. This year, shameless plug, the nonprofit that I work with, we're hosting the whole thing. So all of the contributions go towards the Sojourn Project. And but that first year, it was Give Kids the World, and Mark Long was there. And I was asking him, I was like, hey, so they reached out about this show. I really want to do the challenge. I actually learned about the challenge in the Big Brother house. So, like, I had no idea what the challenge was. Like I said, I hadn't heard any reality besides Big Brother. I mean, I'd heard the name Survivor, Amazing Race. I think my parents may have skimmed one of them.
Those are hard to avoid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But the challenge, hadn't heard of it, didn't know what it was, never watched The Real World, besides The Mad Real World, which was a skit from Chappelle's show back in the day.
Okay, yep.
But the actual show was being described. I remember Big D was talking about it, or Derek was talking about it in the house, and I was like, wait, what is this? I was like, this sounds incredible. Like, I love competitions, I love games, I love adventurous sort of stuff like this. So just, that was my introduction to it was verbal, which was interesting, because so I was processing it, and then I was like, wow, this sounds amazing. Then I get out, I'm like, I want to watch it, I want to do it, but that's the weird thing, is that there's no application for the challenge.
I know,
there's no
right?
number.
Yeah.
You just kind of hope you get called. And so I got the call, and like, hey, it's a spinoff. And I was like, ooh, I don't know. And then I talked to Mark Long, and I was like, hey, should I hold out and wait to see if I can somehow get into the thing? He's like, no. He's like, I've already heard word, like, the spinoff. You guys will have TJ. It is the challenge. They're just expanding it, and it is it's definitely good to have your foot in the door. And I was like, okay, of course, how can you not listen to the godfather of the challenge?
Exactly.
So glad I did. Shout out Mark. And then a few months later, there we are, we're filming.
I mean, I just feel like for you, Kyland, it was just fate all around. Like, you get you go on this season of Big Brother. You had been interviewed for seasons in the past. You didn't get them. You're on this season, and then it just so happens that right after your season, they start casting for USA 1, which is really where all the CBS players started to get introduced. You just so happen to be in an event with Mark Long, the literal godfather of the challenge. Like, it just feels like all these puzzle pieces came into place for you.
No, I mean, it really does feel like that in so many ways. I mean, when you look back, it just is. And I think also I just started preparing right away too. So I think that was the good thing, is that, like, I started when I got out of Big Brother house. I think I was just talking with so many people. Actually, I've had a recurring conversation the last few weeks about how you're just in such a daze, like, after Big Brother, because of how long it is and because of how much longer it feels.
Right.
And so, but one thing that I did do immediately that I was like, oh, I want to learn about this show. So I didn't watch our season. A lot of us didn't. I just started watching the challenge. And
You didn't watch your season of Big Brother?
no, we watched a couple episodes together because all of us were still in LA for a few days, or at least a decent amount of us. And we were the first Todrick Hall class. We're a great friend. He was nice enough to, because it was COVID, so there was no after party, and normally cast has like an after party. And he's like, well, I'll just host them here. It's like house. And so ended up hosting several of the out-of-state people to stay with him, and me, who already lived in California, but I didn't have my apartment yet.
Right.
So we were at his place. We watched the first several episodes of our season, and we had to, we enjoyed it, but we were like, oh man, it's so crazy when you think about like how much you don't get to see. Like, we're like, oh, all of this stuff, and not even like, necessarily strategic game things, much as just like conversations or moments or,
Right.
or parts of the game or whatever. And I understand, because they have this hard job. They're trying to live edit this story, multiple stories at once, so they can only show so much. But it really felt like, we're like, man, like this is missing so much. It's like, at this point, I know, we know so much more.
Right. You
So
know
why
what
watch?
happens.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
who wins. You know the big moves. You don't. It would be more fun to watch and reminisce, like the funny moments you guys had. But if they're not going to
Yeah.
show them, then okay, that makes perfect sense to me. You start watching the challenge. Do you remember what your first season was that you watched? Were you just watching like the most recent one that was on?
So I had started, and the most recent one was the Spies, Lies, and Allies.
Yeah.
And
Good season.
Yeah.
And there was Big Brother on that season.
Yeah, of
Casey
course. Yeah,
and
we had Casey
Amber
and Fessy
Josh.
and
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah,
That was a good bit.
Most of them.
Yeah.
Or I'm that good chunk of them. And then, but then when I got the call, they're like, hey, you should brush up on the challenge. And because of the timing, that there's only so much you could watch. I would start maybe at like the trilogy they said of the
30-30. 31-30.
31,
Yeah,
32.
30-30, Vendettas, and
Yes.
Final Reckoning.
Final Reckoning.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's where I started.
That's interesting that that's
Yeah.
what they told you to start with. I would agree with them, by
Yeah.
the way. But wow, interesting.
And now I've watched the rest, and I understand and I agree as well, because the game's just evolved. As all of these shows,
Yeah.
the game's just evolved so much.
Yeah.
Like, you watch anything in the first 15 seasons, you're watching a different show.
Oh, 100%.
And, of course.
When I watched the first
yeah.
15 seasons, I'm like, oh, I could do this. But now when I'm watching season like 40 and you guys are jumping off the tallest tower in wherever you are, I'm like, never, no way in hell. I watch Survivor now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is like baby shit. Now that I'm like a challenge fan. Not to get ahead of things.
Well,
but
I will say, from what I've heard, is that obviously Survivor is so much shorter now.
Yeah.
But I've also heard that because the surviving element is so, played out for lack of a better term, they just don't show it. But everyone's still starving and miserable.
Yeah, that's
and
true,
trying to
that's
survive.
true.
They just don't
It's
show
hard in
any
its
of that
own
stuff.
way.
And so I do give them still that props. Like, that sounds
Right.
miserable. I hate not eating.
Yeah. Oh, same. I could never go on Survivor. But okay, so you go on USA 1. You make it fairly far in USA 1 as well, right?
So, yes and no. I would say I don't make it very far, but I guess I was fortunate enough to make an impression, because it's, once again, I was so, first person on the chopping block, or me and Azza are in the first elimination.
What's with this target you keep having on your
Yeah,
back? I don't get it.
Well, that one, the first one, who knows? Frenchie's Funhouse. All love for Frenchie, but that was who knows? I don't know if he knows right now how I ended up on the block. But with the Challenge USA, the very first challenge was like, hey, you guys were gonna rappel and do math, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the dream. Like, I've rappelled before. I'm great at math. This is gonna be fantastic. And so we are cruising down. And then I had no idea how we messed up until we watched it back. And then I saw that we literally have a miscommunication.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I thought you meant this. And she's like, no, I meant this. And I was like, oh, shoot, my bad. Like that. And I had taken, it was my bad because I was like, hey, she was super scared of the rappel. And I was like, don't worry about it. Like, I'll do focus on everything. That way you just, are chilling. And took lead and messed up. And so I felt very much, I'm like, okay, I have to make up for this. And fortunately we had Not So Fast, and which I think is its own conversation. I feel like Not So Fast is one of the best made eliminations of all of the challenges.
I would agree with you, actually.
Because it mixes
it's
strength,
an equalizer,
endurance, and a puzzle.
It's everything.
Like you have everything.
Yeah.
So, which I think they should have. I think everything should have everything.
Yeah.
I think all the eliminations should have multiple aspects to
right.
them. But so what happened is that I think the elimination was the first chance to really stand out. Because, I think Johnny Benez had said, he's like, outside of winning a challenge, eliminations are the only way to really build a reputation in the game. And so I had that elimination, and then I think of the first 5 challenges, the only guys winning were me and Tyson.
Wow.
So it was like Tyson won, and then I won, and then Tyson won, or something like that. And then I went into another elimination and was out just before we went individual. So that was devastating because we found that out after we got eliminated that they were going individual, and I was doing pretty well in the daily side of it. And so, and then I think there's that element of like everyone watched, not everyone, a lot of people watch the final and they're always like, oh, I would have killed that. And I think, all of us think that we're the exception. I feel that I have done enough, done well enough in the short tenure that I have to like feel like I have the decent odds to say that I would have probably killed it.
I completely agree with you. And we'll get to this, but I think you would have won season 40 if it wasn't a 3-day long swim, but we'll get to that. So then right after the Challenge USA, you went right on to Battle for a New Champ. I'm assuming that was the next season
Yes,
up.
but there was a gap. I mean, because like I said, we filmed at the beginning of the year. It aired that summer. And only because I remember we did a co-watch party for Big Brother and the Challenge USA. And then then I start training for USA 2, and then I get the call for USA 2 sometime that fall, and I'm excited, and then I get dropped, and I was like, oh man, and they're like, don't be too upset, and I was like, what do you mean, or they're telling me about being dropped to like an alternate, but like probably not going, and like a non-traveling, and I was like, they're like, but don't worry, and I was like,
what do you mean, don't worry?
Yeah, what do you mean? Like that? I'm like, the alternates didn't even go and I'm not even traveling. So like, it is, and they're like, don't worry. And then right after everyone leaves, they call me back, like casting like a week or days later. And I was like, hey, so we want you to do 39. And I was like, oh, okay, this is exciting. And because, I want to go to the flagship because it's all you get to really see. It's not like USA wasn't fun, especially that second season probably would have been cool to compete with some other folks.
Yeah.
But MTV is where, to be a part of the flagship really makes it feel real.
100%. Like I was saying before we started recording, I am the biggest Challenge fan, truly. Like anyone that listens to this podcast now, I somehow always find a way to weasel it into the conversation.
Fair.
And I love All Stars. I love Champs versus Stars. I love USA, but I'm sorry, it's not a flagship. And a flagship challenge is the challenge. I don't believe that if you win any of those, I don't count that as a challenge win. I'm like kind of hardcore like that. Fair. So you get on this season
I think you're 39. A champion. You're just not a champion of the flagship.
I would agree with you. A lot of people would disagree with that, by the way, but that's how I feel. What were some of the big differences between USA and Battle for a New Champ? You were also on Battle of the Era season 40. I've heard a big one is just the number of days that you're away.
I mean, the USA is like 6 weeks, and the flagship is anywhere from 8 to 10.
That's a long time.
We were like 10 and a half for 40, and that was the second longest, I believe they said. I think the first longest was the bunker one, was 35 Total Madness. I think that's when they said was the longest.
I could see that.
But yeah, so but it was the second longest, And so, I mean, that time is a factor, but also I would say the actual, and I'd almost compare, they're also, the seasons I did are so different. So that's the thing too. It's like I did USA 1. USA 2 mixed in MTV people. So those are different, very different from each other.
That felt more like a challenge season, yeah.
And then you have, but even that, from talking to the MTV people who did that one, they were like, that was still so different. Like that, their experience was probably closer to USA 1 than it was to an MTV season, from what they were saying. Because they're like, that was also, I think, their first time really being around that many gamers. And I will say there is a drastic difference of gamers and challengers are different. Yeah. And I think that's the challenge I think by the design of it, it just doesn't require as much gaming. Yeah. Period. Like it just is there is, it's not that you can't make the strategic move. I think about Cam doing Killer Cam iconic moves, multiple. I think about even 41, Jeremy staking a claim. Like that was the time to do it, and it made the difference for him. So like I think that there are those specific moves that can be made in a certain moment, but overall,
I agree. It's not chess. Like something like Big Brother is chess. Like you make a move on day 2 that will affect you on day 50, right? And sometimes that comes into play on the challenge, but not often. Really what the challenge is just the biggest gameplay is just your alliances and not fucking over your alliances. If you have good alliances, I feel like you can make it pretty far.
But then you're running into, and that's what I was saying, the seasons are so different because 39, we have pretty much the mixing in the international groups. We have the USA, which is just me. I'm the only one from USA. Then we have the people from Argentina. I think there was only one from Argentina, but then there's a whole group from the UK, a group from Australia, and then a group of people who did 1 or 2 seasons at the most. And so that was interesting because we still have all these like newbies almost in a way. And that I think was also where I learned like, oh, how much playing a game with someone builds a bond. Like maybe it's a trauma bond or whatever it is that like I went in knowing pretty much nobody besides I'd met Horacio, I'd met Olivia and Nerys and Michelle for like a day or 2. Right. But like Olivia and Nerys I'd met more than once, but still not like a crazy extensive background. Right. So I knew very few people, and everyone there besides me, I think, and Huhui from Argentina. Oh yeah, the sweetest, amazing. Everyone else had played with somebody,
right? And so, that's an advantage, in the game.
It's a huge advantage, and that's why I realized, like, oh gosh, it's not just that you played with somebody, but like these are bonds that you can't get in between, right? And I think that taking that understanding and then applying that to all of the relationships that exist when you get to 40 and you have some of these people, 5, 10, 20 years of relationships, and you just realize like, oh, there's nothing I can do to interfere with that relationship. Right.
That was a very specific season with that too, where it's like they're not budging with the whole Avery and Derek thing. It's like they're not budging, and you respect it, but it's hard to play like that when you just can't get in the middle of these relationships.
Yeah, and so I think that was such a difference of and then also just the the caliber of people that were there in 40 was so different than like I think 39 for sure had some pretty standout like athletic people, and I feel that, and I think that what we saw in 41 was just how much of a difference that makes, and I think that people, I feel like there's a lot of complaints around the increased intensity of athleticism of challengers, of like the younger challengers coming in, but it's just like, why would you not? Like first off, all of the sports evolve. You look at baseball and you have Babe Ruth smoking cigars on the court or whatever, and then you have Ohtani who like has probably never touched any substance in his life, and it's just like, why would I? Right, why would I not?
if
give
you
everything.
the challenge has evolved, like you said, it's gotten harder. If you want to win, you got to be strong. And that's another thing where I watch and I'm like, oh God, I could never go on this show. These people are ripped. It's so crazy to me that you've only been on 2 flagship seasons. You've made such an impression on the challenge world, for real. And it's been really fun to watch you. And I do think for some reason it has been kind of few and far between where we get a really good competitor and they continue. Like season 40, for example, Sydney. She was amazing.
Oh, 41.
41, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sydney, thank you.
Sydney is impressive.
But I don't know that she'll come back. She's kind of been honest of like, I don't know that I'll do the challenge again. I feel like we get these, I think Emmanuel that won, like, are we going to see him again? But at least with you, you seem down to come back and you're better each season. We were talking about 40 a little bit. Is there anybody that you would add? I'm not telling you to take anyone away, but would you have added anyone to Era 4?
Oh, add to Era 4? I think I was surprised. I mean, obviously I understand numbers-wise why it wouldn't make sense, and I'm glad because I wouldn't want, like, pretty much any of ones that we had to be replaced. But I think Fessy would have made sense still to have. As far
I
as
agree. He was such a big presence the seasons leading up to that.
Yes, Fessy. I'm trying to think of who else. I'm sure that there is.
I mean, Amber, I also think was just
Amber,
such a big competitor as well.
I think she was fresh with Baby.
I think so too.
Yes.
I think so
Yes,
too. But
pretty
she is
fresh.
one of like the best competitors that we've gotten in recent seasons as well. And it's so funny to me. Why do you think, is it, I guess, the gamer aspect? Like, everyone's really hard on Big Brother. I feel like you haven't.
Okay, I can tell you.
Because I don't know. I feel like you haven't gotten the brunt of it too much. But I do feel like Josh, Amber, Fessy, like with Devin, the whole Big Brother sucks thing. Like, why does everybody hate Big Brother?
Successful propaganda. Mostly, I think, from Devin is like the main perpetrator.
Always is.
But I think that there is just a and you know what I think also is that Big Brother players have been doing well in the challenge. So I do think there is an element of like, these are just to be on TV. These are all people with egos and they are looking for a reason to justify, to criticize others. It's like some people like to have the tallest building by building the tallest building, and then some people like to have the tallest building by like just knocking over anyone that's close to theirs. And so I think that we have a lot of the latter type in the challenge, and you see these Big Brother people coming in and just doing exceptionally well. Like you can go back to Pauly coming in immediately going to the finals, immediately implementing gameplay, the actual strategic gameplay into the game, negotiating deals. And he's someone that's super, it's not super small. I feel like that's more propaganda. As if
but he is. People have said he's smaller.
No, he's smaller.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know, 2 inches, an inch shorter than Johnny. And so it's not like I feel like it's the Napoleon Bonaparte like sort of propaganda once again. But then we have Amber win. We have Casey win.
Yeah.
We have Fessy making a final every single time they's in. So I think that with all of that, it built up, some maybe jealousy or whatever that turned into propaganda that was very successful that wouldn't apply to any of the other shows because there's no other show that's doing as well.
Right.
And so that's just the numbers. That's just the reality. And then because you add on, one thing that stands out is how they talk about Big Brother being like sneaky, backstabby gameplay, and it's like. No. It's not that doesn't happen, but Survivor actively applauds that. Like in Survivor, someone stabs you in the back, you're like, yo, that was a good move. Usually, like not all the time, obviously. Typically that is the vibe. Whereas Big Brother is like, no, you have to get everyone to like you is a significant part of it. There's a lot less direct backstabbiness. And so I feel like the fact that, it was funny, in 41, I caught it and I was like, wow, the propaganda continues. You have Aviv. Mm-hmm. I love Aviv, but she, hasn't been around that much. She's coming up the mountain. She's talking to, maybe it's Sydney or one of the survivors. Oh, you're survivors? Like, good. Survivors do well here. Big Brother, not so much. And I'm like, no, Big Brother's been killing it.
Yeah.
But like, that's how strong the propaganda is
propaganda.
They actually think that, that they're not doing well.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's been interesting to see how different Survivor players have played this game, then Big Brother has played this game. And you know what? I do think it's almost an air of jealousy, right? It's like these MTV OGs are just jealous that CBS people are coming in and doing well at their game. That's what I think it is. But at the end of the day, if you want your show to keep going, we're going to need to get other people on it because there's no more Are You the One, Real World, or Road Rules. So just the way that things are going to have to be.
And I'll give props to some of the MTV like OGs. You can tell how much they love the challenge.
Yeah.
Like they love the game and appreciate the game for like the way it's changed their lives. And like I would call out for sure CT as one of the folks that he was really you could tell that he wants the game to live on whether or not he's there. Like he's like, I am glad to see people that care about the game that are here. And I feel like that was something I noticed of the Durrells and the Brads and I mean, even if we go into newer like Tori or John A, or like I feel like a lot of people that I got to talk to from the non-era fours, that you could tell that how much they love the game, they want it to keep growing, and I think that's and it does have to evolve. It does have to do something different to continue because the real world isn't a show anymore.
And I'm so sorry, but not everybody is Johnny Bananas and is going to be doing this until they're 60 years old. So you do have to create the space for other people to come in and do well. I think 41 was great at that. I do think it was, you could tell they were like, pry the show out of my cold dead hands, but they were giving it to some of the new threats of like, they're really good. I hope that they're the ones.
They had no choice. They brought an interesting selection for sure. For at least, I definitely was. Yeah, it was an interesting selection of people because it just is like, guys, like, have a different setup or something. This is, I'm a fan of the OGs myself, so I think it was hard to watch them just being taken out so quickly.
I agree. I agree. I want to talk a little bit about like the production of the challenge as well. So, like, you're the first challenge person I've interviewed, so this is like such an honor. I'm so excited to talk about someone with the challenge. What is a typical filming schedule like? Like, I want to know, when are comp days? When are elimination days? What are your off days? Like, what is the format on the flagship challenge?
Totally. I mean, I can only speak to my experience. Once again, it's only 2 seasons, and so I feel like...
Which is still, like, I can't even believe.
No, I just feel so, humbled to I think watching the challenge back, it really became apparent to me how hard it is to like new people. Like, I found myself watching like new people come on. As I was going back watching old seasons, I was like, yeah, screw these Big Brother people coming in here. Like, I'm already building the relationship.
No, same with like,
else.
Are You the One? I'm like, I don't want to see these Are You the One people. And now I'm like, I fucking love Tori. I love Devin. Like, where would we be without them? But you get a little like what's the word?
Yeah, there's something protective for sure.
Protective.
Yeah. You get territorial of like, this is our space. Why are you invading? And so I understand that sentiment. So I'd say that to be welcomed by people who are fans of the show, who have been fans of the show, who didn't come necessarily from watching me on Big Brother and just were watching the challenge and accepting of me as like someone that is a challenger, even still a newbie, and I own that. I recognize that, but I feel I feel humbled and grateful for that. But yeah, for my seasons, what we noticed, because 39 was something like 8.5 weeks ish, or maybe it was on the shorter side, I think, for flagship, and you basically do a challenge Monday, then you go to the bar Monday night, then you have an elimination Tuesday, then you have Wednesday with basically nothing. You might do some interviews, catching up, but there's so much downtime in the challenge, so much, which was so weird to come from Big Brother when there's virtually, even though it feels like all downtime, like you are always thinking about the game. So you're just chilling, and that was something even to learn because like Win to USA still kind of in that same mindset, and then and like whispering all the time. We actually got talked to about the Big Brother people. They're like, you guys just whisper all the time, so quiet, and it's hard for us we have to adjust the mics because we can't hear you.
Wow.
And we're like, oh yeah, that's what we're used to. It's just this super small whispering, and so anyways, so to realize in this game that we're like, oh, like we don't have to always be playing.
Right. So you guys
yeah.
aren't even talking about gameplay on your down days. You're like truly just hanging out.
You are hanging out. Like
Wow.
it is so chill. It's weird. And I think that's the other thing is I benefit from going straight to the challenge from Big Brother. And maybe that's why they've been able to do well is because Big Brother is so, traumatizing for as great as it is, as great of an experience as I've had, to where I didn't go to summer camp, but this is what I imagine it was like from what I've heard. Is I'm like, we're just hanging out, like truly. So it's Monday challenge, the daily challenge. Monday night you go to the bar. Tuesday night elimination. Wednesday you have the off day basically where everyone's chilling in the house catching interviews. Thursday, Friday is repeat Monday, Tuesday. So you do the same thing. And then the weekend is off. And then Saturday they usually...
You're off on the weekend too? Like no cameras,
No, there's still... Sorry, off isn't like there's no cameras, but it's so different because since there's not as much gameplay, it's like Saturday, over the weekend... What game conversation what are you going to talk about?
Right.
The elimination's over.
That is so much downtime.
What game? No,
like you're only really having 2 competitions a week, basically.
Yeah. No.
Wow.
It is that's what you only have to perform for. That's why it's like you. I think that's why you have someone like a Jordan who's done well, and I think that like that's why I've been able to do pretty well in like the dailies and eliminations because it's not about working out to be the fittest person in the world. It's about like, can I perform on command in these very specific sort of odd skill sets?
Right.
And if you prepare intentionally to do that thing, then you can do well. And so I feel like that was like my take watching it, and that was really solidified, I think, getting to play 40 and really, really getting to watch Jordan. Like, I came in really wanting to learn how he plays and just how he does as well as he does, and I think that was the main takeaway. It was just like, oh yeah, and like also I said the most standout thing I talked to him about was like, oh, so like if you're good, then there's just nothing they can do, and he's like, yeah.
Well,
he's like basically,
dude, 100%.
They can get lucky,
and that's how I feel about watching people like Jordan and you as well on season 40, where I'm like, if they continue, like, no one's going to beat them. Like, they're going to win. I feel the same way about Bananas for certain seasons and CT when he's in shape, right? It's like they're going to make it to the end unless something freak happens. And I do love, that is what the challenge is. It is meant to be the smartest, strongest person. And people like you and Jordan aren't just strong, but you're also really smart. You are my favorite type of people to watch. But I did have that thought on 40 of like, if Jordan just shows up, he's going to win.
I mean, and so that was such an interesting thing for me to be in the house and hear that as the thought. And like, and also none of these people know me. So I was like, I don't know. I feel like I can do well. And then, so, we have the group activities. I think I have the only 2 eliminations I have are while we're still competing in eras and teams. So, and fortunately they were individual. So as soon as I saw they were individual, I was like, I don't know who's going to send me home here. Outside of like, a few random scenarios, like pretty much the same thing as Horacio. I was like, me and him were talking. We're like, I don't know if we can go home. Like, if it's all individual, I don't know. And you only go in if you're last or if you're voted. I'm like, okay, so like we might get voted, but like we're going against someone who got last, so we'll probably be fine most of the time.
You would think.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't need to comment on this, but those eliminations on 40 were bad.
I would say overall. Oh no! I think overall, I really liked a lot of 40's eliminations because they mixed stuff. They mixed skill sets. They had physical and mental.
That's true, and they were new and different and fresh. It's just there was some of the like
for sure. Some,
like the nail one with the hammer.
Nail
like,
was stupid.
Come on.
Yeah, some stuff. Yeah, the nail was a dumb choice. But I think that I just like the ones that mixed, like I said, that mixed the physical and the mental. But not all of them did that for sure. And yeah, I love getting into all the elimination talk. For sure, they're my favorite part of the game, like to watch, and to do. But like, it doesn't mean I want to do them.
Yeah.
They're just fun. So but I would say, yeah, the downtime there is just so, yeah, you're just, I mean, you have the weekends to pretty much chill. Usually every other weekend we might do like not an excursion, like, we might go to a restaurant that they'll have
Right.
like we're still not
That's
interacting with the
nice.
public,
Yeah.
but they'll take us like a little corner to or a banquet hall or something like that. We might
Right.
get just to be out of the compound.
I know that there's alcohol limits in the house, but when you guys or are there?
In the house, yes, because basically you have to request it. So, and they give and it's not every day. Like, there's definitely days where they don't give anything. I don't drink I don't really drink that much in my regular life, but I definitely don't drink while I'm there.
Right.
But the actual, which is, all of them are props to the fact that so many of them do drink regularly.
I think about
and
that
still
all the
perform.
time, and they're someone will have elimination the next night, and they're drunk at the bar. I'm like,
Often.
what are you doing?
Most of them. And so, yeah, more power to them. But yeah, just as I think maybe just as someone who doesn't drink that much in my daily life, I'm like, why risk? So I know that they limit to some degree, but when you're out, they are paying attention. They tally, but you're buying all of your own drinks.
Right.
Everyone's buying their own drinks, which I think is insane. But that is just the way it's been, I guess, the way it's always been.
Interesting.
So so that limit is, and like I said, they're watching, they're tallying.
Have they told people, have they cut anybody off before?
Probably.
You've
but
never really
I
seen
genuinely don't know. I think that they usually say, though, at the beginning, hey, we're tallying the drinks, when you order drinks, so keep it in check. And I don't remember them ever saying a specific amount. Or actually, I feel like sometimes they might say it. But 40 also, they weren't telling those people anything. What are they going to tell Johnny and
Exactly.
Veronica?
Exactly.
Shoot, was Veronica there? Who was that?
Rachel.
Rachel, but I'm saying, who else was in Air One? Who was the Air? Aviv, Rachel,
Anissa.
Katie,
Yes.
and Tina.
Tina. How could we forget?
I know. And so,
the hammer thing. I just talked about that.
yeah,
That was Tina's
my gosh.
elimination.
Tina's so funny too. Yeah, that's why I was like, Kyle, when I said Veronica.
Yeah.
But going into 40, it's funny because I just as I think with school, there's some stuff I study to learn, and then some stuff I study, you memorize stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I had memorized all of the city, and that's why the trivia was so devastating on 40, because I had memorized all of the cities and country and cities for every season. I'd memorized the winners. I'd memorized the elimination records everyone had. So I was so dialed in that some of the Air 1, Air 2 people would come and ask me about stuff that happened on their season.
That's so funny.
And then so I go from that. So we get into challenge trivia on 40, and then I was so frustrated because my very first question, I was like, oh, well, I know backwards and forwards the geography. And so they're like, yeah, which body of water did they swim across in this season? And I was like, what do you mean, which body of water?
The one thing I didn't look up.
I was like, no, I didn't know all and so I was so annoyed. And then it scared me from geography, only for the other two hard geography questions to be, what city was this season? I was like, bro, what? What city? Obviously I know. And then they're like, oh, this one was in this city. What country is that? I was like, oh my gosh.
Do you kind of feel like is there a piece of you that's they specifically asked me that really hard question?
I think that's no, first off, there's an emotional part of me that wants to feel that, but literally they had it was a solid trivia board where you'd rotate the question.
No, so it was fair.
So it was locked in as those questions. But what I will say is that my comment on that for all of the shows, for the challenge and Big Brother, everything, is that overwhelmingly, if someone's talking about throwing a competition, they didn't. It just is, or if they're talking about, oh, this was fixed for this person, it wasn't. You just lost, or you're not. And I will say, there's a difference between not playing to your absolute hardest, like you have to win, because there's sometimes where maybe you don't have to win, And if that's not in your DNA to play to win every single time, even when you don't have to, then maybe you don't, for sure. But for me, I'm like, you're not throwing something if you never could win it.
Right,
If you didn't have a chance of winning it, then don't say you threw it.
Exactly. If you know you're going to win, you're not going to purposely lose.
Yeah, well,
Duh.
yeah, I think that there are occasionally times, I will give them credit. I think that Ride or Dies had a dumb format that did actually de-incentivize, whatever that word would be. There wasn't a strong incentive to win if you weren't worried, if you weren't in imminent danger of going in. It's kind of why win. So I think that was a format issue.
There's those seasons where you have to go into elimination in order to make it to a final, right? Where you need to get your
always should be the case.
I like that too, where you get the skull and crossbone, the X. I forget what they called it, but that was fun. I liked that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Or I also like. I think actually USA 2 or one of the seasons did where it was either or. You could win a daily or win an elimination.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, yeah, make them do something.
Right. Because then you're not dragging people to the end. There's no goats at the end.
Yeah. And I would say that's my other learning from 39. The biggest thing I learned that I brought with me into 40 was that different people have to or choose to play a different style of game.
Okay.
Like you play to your abilities or to your confidence. And I think that was something that caught me off guard, where I would see people that would make a decision but why would they choose to do this? And it's like, oh, because they can't do this on their own, or they can't, or I think that if you know that it's like, I know that anything can happen in elimination, so I want to stay out of elimination.
Right.
But I'm not going to lose sleep over it, and so whereas some people know that if they go into elimination, they're probably going home. So they're like, is life or death for me to avoid this arena.
Makes sense.
And that is and it does make sense. And I think that, and they will play the game differently as a result of that.
Right.
And so I feel like that was something to take into consideration, moving forward in all the games. And it affected how I played in 40 and the conversations I had, and so on.
I want to get into a little bit of tea, and you can plead the fifth on any question.
Yeah, probably.
They're not
I'm not tea. No,
they're not too crazy.
All
Trust me, I wouldn't do that to you. Who do you think is the most underrated challenger?
Okay, most underrated challenger. There's probably a lot.
I think there are a lot. I don't think there's a wrong answer, by the way.
No, I think there are probably a lot.
I always loved Kyle Christie from that Dirty 30 era, the British guy.
No, I don't think he's underrated, though. I think that he's a dog, and people
You think
of
he's
him
perfectly
that way.
rated?
I think he's perfectly rated. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that people see him as I think people see him exactly as he is, which is super strong dude. He's one of those guys that gets hammered the night before, and they've seen him puke and rally during eliminations.
Right, probably plays better when he's fucked
might.
up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Ooh, actually, two that stand out to me are, and they're newer players, obviously, Casey and Tori. So
you think they're underrated?
For different reasons. So here's what I would say. Casey is underrated in terms of personality. I think it's like Casey is funny and engaging, and somehow gets this edit every time where she's wallpaper. And I'm just like, she would get into, she holds her ground, and no one's gonna talk trash, and she's not gonna say anything very consistently.
Mm-hmm.
I witnessed multiple conversations. I'm like, whoa, oh, where'd this come from? Only to find out that's always how she is, and they just don't show it. So I was like, that's crazy, because she's also a beast of a competitor. I think that's underrated in terms of a entertainment that is not shown for some reason.
Right.
I will say, and maybe it was me. Maybe I came in I was underrating Tori maybe, because I think that I heard she's strong and all these things, but I was like, is Tori that impressive? Only to see in 40, she is probably one of the most well-rounded dominant challengers ever.
I would agree.
She was good at everything.
And she has a lot of heart.
So good.
Yeah.
At every skill set. She won more individual competitions than both me and Jordan. And because me and Jordan tied, and then Tori beat everybody. She won everything. And I was just like, oh, she can do everything. You know, obviously got sick and had the elimination, and all the bad things came together perfectly for her to come fourth on the final. But yeah, I think that maybe I underrated. Maybe that was just me underrating her, only to realize like, oh, she is
That's fair.
insanely good at everything.
Yeah.
On the men's side,
I can't really think of any.
yeah, I'm like,
males.
who stands out?
Like my underrated female, and my reasoning for this, I'll
Yes,
explain,
please.
is Nani, only because
Okay, yeah, please elaborate.
I feel like she always makes it to the end. She's never someone that people are afraid of. Even in 41, no one was ever worried about Nani and Justin, and yet they're winning every daily challenge. And you guys are going to let them walk. I mean, they didn't end up getting to the final, but it's like they almost pretty much walked to the final.
Yeah.
And I'm like, every episode, I'm like, why are people not talking more about Nani? She's so good.
Yeah, I don't know. I've barely met Nani.
Right.
and I haven't
It's
played
probably
with
harder
her.
for you
So,
when you're in, like,
yeah,
because
I
you're
think
in it.
that's the thing is I can't comment. Yeah, I hear variety of angles on her. So I think, but yeah, underrated guys. I will say
guy.
Josh gets a lot of flack, and Josh has been physically the most impressive that he's ever been, probably in his life. Like not just in the challenge, he just stepped up all of his physicality. Like his endurance was insane. Like when we were doing some running stuff, he's right behind me and Jordan. I was like, whoa, he's fast and has good engine in him. And he is smart and social, obviously. The downside is, and I don't know, I think that his downfall is just adaptation, like in the moment, because that's so much of the challenge is just being able to switch up what you're doing, assess the situation in the moment, and maybe he's more of like a chess player than like a speed chess player. And
Very
I think
true.
that might be it.
Yeah.
Because he has all of the foundations. I think that's probably the difference maker. And then
I think Josh is a great answer, by the way.
yeah,
actually.
yeah.
I
So
agree.
we sit there.
Yeah. Do you have any players that you feel are overrated on the challenge?
Probably.
Again, you complete.
I know. Let me think.
I can also give you mine if that might help.
Give me
you spark
yours. Yeah, we'll
something.
start there. Let me
Well,
think about it.
I think a lot of people are quick to say CT, and I actually don't think that's a fair answer because if anything, he wasn't overrated in 41 because everyone like wanted to get him out and thought he wasn't good and blah 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 whatever. So I think CT is always the easy answer that people say. I do not think CT is overrated
no.
at all. He's
Yes.
fucking CT. Turbo.
Oh my gosh!
It's got to be
yes,
Turbo.
of course.
Yeah. I mean,
Of
Turbo's
course.
good, right? But at what cost?
Yeah, but not only that, he's talking about, like when I did the first one, I was 30 and now I'm 37. I'm like, Jordan's 37. What do
Yep.
you mean?
Yes,
Giant Man's is 42. He's in
Dude.
the best shape of his life.
Exactly. When he
What?
said that at the end where he was like, I'm 37, I'm just not built like I used to be. I'm like, 37 is a lot of these guys' prime
Yeah.
for the challenge. So
I was like,
I think
no.
Turbo's pretty
yeah,
overrated.
Turbo for sure. Yeah, I definitely agree with you on CT. It's funny. That was, I remember something that Jordan and Johnny were saying. They're like, people look at, CT when he comes in like this out of shape or whatever, not realizing that he's going to walk on the treadmill every day, probably drop 50 pounds by the time we get to the final. And then in the final, there are so many bottlenecks that like you can only run ahead so far to make a difference that it's not going to make that much of a difference.
Right.
You can run a 10-minute mile versus someone running a 7-minute mile and be right on each other because there's the way that the finals are designed.
Yep.
They're not just designed like a straight marathon.
Yep.
And so that was they usually design pretty well, minus 40, terrible design. But
Horrible. I'm like, by the way, I am so sorry you were in the season 40 final. As like, and this is no offense to anybody that was in the final, by the way, because it sucked because that was just like a mecca of so many great competitors in one
You're
final.
telling me.
And then it's swimming. Like it wasn't even that fun to watch. And then with the whole, what was it called at the end? The karma vote?
trash.
Yeah, that, I didn't love that.
I'm not even talking about the outcome.
Right. I
Just
don't. The
talking
outcome
about
was fine. I
the
agree.
design, because my issue is that throughout it, TJ was saying, "Hey, how you treat people matters."
Mm-hmm.
That's what the karma vote is for. The karma vote had nothing to do with how you treat people, because people already decided what karma votes they're going to give in by the time we arrived at the house. As
Yeah.
soon as they told us what karma vote is, it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to give all the points to my friends.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how anyone treats anybody.
Right.
These are people I've known for years. These are who I'm going to vote for.
Especially because maybe if it wasn't such a friend heavy like season.
But you can't have that in the challenge almost. Like it's
Yeah.
virtual. Maybe 39, they could have potentially, because they had new
That would have been interesting too, because there was some beef on 39 as well.
I feel like they almost have to trick them. I think that's what, if you wanted it to be that legitimate, like, hey, how you treat people, then you almost have to have it be like, oh, you give them some cookies or so. I don't know what it would be. There's something. But the karma points for me, like I look back, like in the moment now, obviously, in my right state of mind, I would not do this. But at the moment, when TJ was going over the karma points, if he said that I moved from 4th to 3rd, I was going to tell them no. In that moment, I was like, no, there's unreasonable. Sorry, Johnny's 3rd. That's dumb. That was literally the mindset I was in, which now I'm like, no, I should have taken the money. Who cares? Take the 3rd place, whatever. But in that moment, I was so disappointed with myself for getting 4th. That I was like, and for getting 4th in pretty much every single checkpoint, that I was like, I don't want to even get something I don't deserve. Is how I felt.
Did it feel almost like a pity vote?
Felt worse than that. I don't know.
God.
It felt worse than that. For only because of my performance. So like that's why I said, like, I'm not commenting on the other people's because the performance was different.
I get that. Like you probably felt like I don't even deserve
deserve
this.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because you're a fan of the game too,
Yeah.
I could totally understand
I'm just too
that.
competitive for my own good sometimes. So that's
So if the challenge calls and asks you to come back, would you say yes?
Yeah. So that's what I always say is that I can't control whether or not I will. I can't control whether or not I'll get the call to go on the challenge, but I can say that if I go on the challenge, I will win. Because
I think you will too.
Love it, and I will be prepared, and yeah, and it's such a cool experience. Like I love all of it except the eating. I think the eating's dumb.
The eating challenges, get rid of them.
Get
rid of them,
please.
I do think though that's a hot take because every time I say someone that they like love them, I fast forward through every eating challenge. I think it's bullshit.
Dumb.
Yeah, I'm with
So
you on
dumb.
that. Okay, we're very aligned.
Yes.
Since you are a fan of the show and you've watched seasons that you weren't even on, is there anybody from previous seasons that you would like to compete with that you haven't?
Like compete with today or compete with them back when they were good?
When they were good, back in the day.
Good?
Yeah.
I mean, of course. You have what's his name? There's a guy that everyone goes to as like a super competitor all around from the early seasons. He hasn't been around for years. Landon.
Okay.
Everyone talks about Landon. And Lynn's probably a great guy. I have nothing personal against him. I just want to compete against all of the
people
goats
that
of them.
they say were the best.
Yes, exactly. So I think Landon. I think of Wes back in the day. I think I feel like who else? I was like, not back in the day. I would have loved to try some stuff. What's his name? Chris Underwood.
Oh, he was only on that one season.
Hey, why not? Why not one and be
honestly,
out? Honestly,
I would have loved to have seen him go back, but I did love that because he was on USA, right? And his whole thing was like, I want to prove that I deserved my Survivor win. And he really did prove shit, which was awesome.
No, props. That's why I was like, he seems like a cool guy. I haven't met him, but I just was like, he killed it in the eliminations and the final. And so I'm like, ooh, that would have been fun just to do. But yeah, as far as like, through the ages, I think of for sure, Landon. I think of only because of how people prop him up. I'm like, yo, like, was he like that? Was he really like that?
Yeah.
Like in this game.
Landon is a good answer. I like that.
But also, I will say to all of the OG's credit, I think that they also, because the game has evolved so much that like they weren't training to the level that like a lot of us are coming in now.
It would be
training.
interesting to see people that were like the best at the game back then compete now in the same shape that they were back then. Let's just say we could time travel. Like, I'd like to see how a 2005 Darrell would handle, season 41.
Yeah, no, I mean, and Darrell's still.
Amazing.
Yeah,
he's one of my favorite challengers.
But yeah, for sure, of that time, like that is such a. Yeah, he's just so fit. Like he runs a gym, like so he's always training and working out and all the things. But I think that who knows? I think you have all of those people through the ages. I think it is the. So many of them are still around though,
Mm-hmm.
And then even you look at someone like CT and you're like, what's peak CT? Pick an era.
Right.
Like
I feel the same way
he's
about
had multiple.
I feel the same way about Bananas too. Is like I know a lot of people had a lot to say about him being like, I am the challenge, but like this might be a hot take, but he kind of is. And it's like every era he's only gotten better.
I will say, no, I think once again, I always, it's funny because I'm like friends with Jordan, but I feel like such a fan of his sometimes because I'm always like, I just relate to him. I agree with a lot of things he says.
How can you not be a fan of him? Yeah.
So he said, he's like, people have the GOAT conversation for the male challengers. And, you have an honorable mention like a Darrell because he has the 4 back-to-back.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like, as far as like the official 3, he's like, if you're looking at who's the legend of the challenge, it's CT. Like he's just a legend of the challenge, like at the top of it. And he has the 5 wins. You look at the best competitor, it's Jordan. He's like, it is him. The numbers are there. He's like, but who has the biggest impact on the challenge? It is Giant Bananas.
100%.
So like he does, that is true. He has the most wins and the impact. Yeah. And that's just the reality.
Yeah, I agree. I would actually very much so agree with that assessment of the 3 of them. Hopefully you'll be up there. Give you some more seasons.
When I look at Survivor doing 50, I'm like, challenge, can you do 50? And like, do 2 a year maybe.
Right.
And give me
you know what?
5.
I have high hopes with it. Like, I don't know what's happening. I'm assuming it's going to move to Paramount Plus now that MTV's not.
Probably.
Whatever.
Who knows?
Maybe we'll get more of those. Because we need more. We need more. And I love the All-Star seasons, but like, I feel like we can like fit in some other flagship seasons.
All I'm
in
saying
between.
is, Jordan went 5 for 10 or 11. I'm like, give me 6 more. Give me 6 seasons just so I can. Give me. I think I'd like to say I could go 4 for 4.
Right.
But who knows? Because anything can happen. So I'm like, give me 6, and then I can get my 4 and feel good.
I think there's time.
We
don't have much time here, but I do just have to ask, because you've been on Big Brother and The Amazing Race, if something were to happen and you could complete the CBS trifecta, would you ever go on a show like Survivor?
You have to. You can't. Is it Tyson Apostle, my favorite person of all the new people I met from USA? He's so funny. The favorite guy, at least. He said, he's like, you can never. He's like, it's dumb to say no to a 1 in 16 chance at $1 million. She's like, why would you not?
That's a great
first off,
point.
yes, you have to say yes because of that. Second off, then I get the opportunity to also be, to do all 3, which is huge. And why would you not? But I will say, who would I like to do it more than me? I mean, I'm sure the fans have their own choices, but me personally, I want Jag to do it. I want Jag to win. Like, because why not?
Right.
Like, how epic.
Wait, Jag who?
Jag. Oh, sorry.
Oh, Jag. Oh, Jag. Yes. Your Amazing Race, Big Brother. Yes.
So I'm like, why? Like, of course I was like, that is the coolest story ever. I was like, if Jag can go, or Jazz, but like, I think Jag is my understanding. He's a little bit of a bigger fan of Survivor as well. And so I'm like, that would be pretty insane.
Hey, stranger things have happened.
Exactly.
I could definitely see that. I'll cross my fingers for that.
I'm happy to go. I
Yeah.
would do it. I just, is
You'll
yeah.
fall on the sword if it's between you and Jag. You'll be like, you know what, Jag?
Oh my
just
gosh,
take
I would.
it.
I would.
Yeah,
I would actually.
That's nice of you.
Yeah.
Very nice of you. First of all, I could just keep talking to you forever. I do feel like me, you, and Courtney need to hang out, and we can just like talk about the challenge. I will
down.
talk to anybody about.
I can't do
the
them with your
challenge.
Bravo show, so
But-
like, you have to bounce back and forth between the Bravo with.
That's because
with
we'll
Courtney,
include him
and
a little
then-
bit. We'll
yes.
find like a middle ground between
Yeah,
Bravo,
yeah.
the challenge. I'm sure
Maybe
it
Traders.
exists. I think Traders
Probably
is the
is,
middle
yeah.
ground. I had Traders questions for you too.
Oh my gosh.
Let me just ask you one.
Yes.
You're watching this season?
I'm behind.
Okay, well, I
So-
won't say anything, but like,
Yeah.
what are your takes? Who do you think's gonna win? I know it's a really loaded
I'm
question.
too
but-
far back to know where the game has even progressed. I haven't seen past Tiffany getting out. I will watch it because I do like the show, but I also think it's such the nature of the people that they bring to Traders. It's like, would I ever do Traders? Yes, I love Mafia, Werewolf. I love the games. It seems super fun. Would I go there expecting to like play? Like I would go there the same way I would expect to play at like a party.
Right.
I wouldn't, because especially talking to Tiffany and Derek and Dan all kind of said the same, and Danielle, like the same thing about, you are not all playing the same game. And so, if you're playing chess with somebody and they're like Uno and you're like, you can't do that, and then the rules are like, yeah, they can. I can't do anything about that. So
Right.
if people are there for different reasons, and so it's just more of a fun, awesome experience. And so I would love to be a part of it. But I also feel like, once again, I'm not selling myself short, but more just how many, the fan that I am of so many people from Big Brother and the Challenge and the Amazing Race. I'm like, there's so many people on that list that I think will and should be there.
Right. It's
before
like
me.
you'd say yes, but you're not offended if they ask people before
exactly.
you.
I'm
yeah,
like, no,
I get
there's
that.
a lot of people. I'm like, you should definitely ask those people first, because
Right.
they're probably going to be way more fun.
Yeah.
Like Hannah Chada or Derek, Derek Frazier. If I'm just going from my season, I'm like, oh my, Derek Frazier, please
Yeah.
send him into Trader's house. That would just be so fun.
Well, it
to
doesn't
watch.
look like Traders is going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, I
So
hope
we have
not.
I hope
I'd love
too.
him to get the opportunity, and me, and so many others.
Yeah,
but
yeah. I just want to thank you not only for coming here today, but being on reality TV. It's so fun to watch you. And I know, a lot of times it's not easy to put yourself out there. And without people like you, shows like this wouldn't exist. So I love watching you. I wouldn't say this to just anyone. You're going to win the challenge.
Like I said, if I have the chance, then I will.
Okay, I think you will. Why don't you tell everybody where we can find you and what's next for you, Kyland?
Well, I am Kyland Young on pretty much all the platforms, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok for some reason is Kyland.Young, but everywhere else is Kyland Young. And yeah, I mean, the easiest thing is to follow on Instagram. But I like to do different things in different places. Like TikTok's becoming more of my like movie TV space, because I'm a really big fan of movies, and I am getting ready to do a countdown to Doomsday. I'm a big Marvel fan, as I'm wearing my Black Panther jacket, and so I'm going to be watching all the films, kind of doing a book club for all the films
fun,
leading up
yeah.
to Doomsday. It's like 37 films.
Dude, there's such an audience for film and TV on TikTok as well. I've noticed
Oh
it's
my
like
gosh.
amazing. I love it there.
For sure. And it's so
Yeah.
fun. And so, yeah, so I'm doing that. And then I'm bringing back my own podcast, Connections with Kyland, talking with different people, not just reality, but a lot of reality now that that's just the world I'm in.
Yeah.
And so I have some fun guests coming up for that we've already done, that we have scheduled for next week. And so those are the main places to find me, and hopefully, on more competitions.
Wait, so much to look
Yeah.
forward to. Are you still doing TikTok lives? I feel like you were really big on the
Oh my
TikTok
gosh.
live.
So I haven't really been doing the lives, which breaks my heart, because I love engaging with people. I've just been so busy. And I
Yeah.
think it's one of those
Lives
things that
are
you
hard.
have to be consistent.
Yeah.
And I say this, I know I feel like my TikTok live family that I've built there, the community, I feel so bad. I'm trying to start getting back into it, even if I can't do it consistently, because sometimes I get in that all or nothing where I'm like, okay, if I can't do it 20, 30 hours a week, then I'm not going to do it at all.
Exactly.
I'm like, but I'm going to try and find a balance there, because I do enjoy it.
Right.
So I haven't been on for a while, but I will get back there in some capacity.
Yeah. He'll be
but
back,
yeah.
everybody. He'll
Yes,
be back.
exactly.
He'll be back. Well, thank you so much for joining me again. It was so nice to meet you. Hopefully we'll get to talk again.
Oh my gosh!
soon.
Well, it's so good to see you
Oh,
again,
yeah.
and I just
Again,
want-
because
yeah,
we've met before.
exactly. But no, I just want to give you props for. I think that doing a podcast, I know how hard it is to do it consistently, and you are so consistent. And you're so welcoming with it, and I always say, like, I love talking about the shows because I'm a fan of the shows, and that is so present in you and being here with you. It's exciting. Like you said, we can just keep talking.
Oh my gosh,
because
yeah.
we're excited about it, and so I just want to give you your flowers for that.
Thank
and
you. I
for having
really,
me.
oh my
Yeah.
God, I appreciate it. If you could only see the amount of questions I didn't get to ask
Oh,
you
we'll
because
do more.
we were just vibing.
I'll do more. I
we-
love talking to you.
Studio time is out, so maybe I'll have to have you back for a part 2 sometime.
You let me know.